Is that a weasel over there?
West Coast Avengers. Hey, Weasel, get off my comic books.
Thanks for joining another week. It's great to see you, even though I'm just looking at this camera. But imagine me looking at you through your phone or your TV, straight through
to your soul.
Thank you also for subscribing. And please, if you're not subscribing, if you're watching this for the first time, smash the like, throw a comment, hit the subscribe. And you can check out the links below. Hit the link tree right there. You see it? Okay, it's right there. You got links to my Instagram, whatnot, eBay, Mercari, Dave Korea's art store. Today is a special episode deep diving into our friend William the Sankster Sienkiewicz.
Bill Sienkiewicz, SANKOWITZ. Bill Sienkiewicz, SANKOWITZ.
His name is Bill Sienkiewicz. It is spelled SIENKIEWICZ. And you're thinking to yourself, what's the big deal about Bill Sienkiewicz? Well, it's SANKOWITZ. One of the most prolific artists of our time. The man has been just across the board, decade after decade, knocking it out of the park. I'm going to show you a little bit of everything. I don't own every single one of his books. That's got to be close to 400 to 500 books, if not more, if we're counting magazines and hardcovers, variant covers, and video game artwork, trading cards. The man is just, I mean, the word prolific almost doesn't even do it justice. As far back as I can remember, he's been drawing comics. And I started collecting in the late 80s, somewhere around there. And it's funny because right here, we're going to get started off with the first time I'd ever seen his artwork. This is Wolverine number 10. This cover and this book was huge back in the late 80s. And for the longest time, this was the top of the food chain in the Wolverine run. This was the most expensive. I remember it being $60 at some point, $50, $70. And it finally kind of came down. But this was the first introduction that I had to his art. And honestly, it's one of his more like kind of palatable styles if you want to go mainstream. It holds a special place in my heart. Seek it out if you don't own it. The Sankster, his big notoriety, I guess, would come from his run on New Mutants. He does covers and interiors. This starts the Demon Bear storyline, and Demon Bear was all him. Just super trippy. Horror element of it is just enhanced by his style of art. So that's number 18, and then number 19 with Demon Bear on the cover. If you've never read these books before, they are so worth seeking out, and they're not expensive. I think this one and the one I just showed you would be the most expensive. Maybe they're $8, $7, $10 a piece. New Mutants number 19, Demon Bear on the cover. I feel like some of the New Mutants movie kind of took some inspiration from it, but not as much as I wanted it to. And then you've got number 24, the Slumber Party issue. If you've ever seen the show Legion on FX, the inspiration for that show is so deeply rooted in Sienkiewicz's art and just his psychedelic, trippy. When his style of art kind of gets mixed into terrifying things, it really is horror. We jump into a little bit of Elektra Assassin, number 1. Classic for so many reasons. White background, just striking red, but that gun. She's just got this goddamn cannon, and it's believable because she is Elektra. She's an assassin. She was trained by the Hand. She is a bona fide killer, a badass woman. Just a striking cover to kick off the miniseries. And it's funny because when you get to issue number 5, you can pair it up with issue number 1. Purple, she's facing this way, Elektra's facing that way. I don't know that character's name. Dazzler. Kind of wish I had a high quality print set of those two to frame up on the wall. And then the other really notable one is Elektra Assassin number 7, the homage to American Gothic, the painting by, I don't know who did the painting. Sorry, I'm not an art major. Anyway, just a wild cover. The fire, the house on fire, the little blue motherfucker down there, the Elektra pitchfork, and then this guy's like, yeah. I admittedly have not read everything that he's ever done. I appreciate his art, but I can't say I've consumed all the stories that his art has been a part of. This is a favorite cover for a lot of people, a lot of collectors. An old friend of mine, Larry, turned me on to a lot of the Sienkiewicz stuff that I had never seen before. And that brings me to the Shadows and Light number 1. He did a lot of shadow covers. He did the interiors for this. I've never taken a gander inside this one issue. I just got it. Just his style to a T, and his interiors have their own style as well. Moving on, let's jump into one of his famous graphic novels. This is the format graphic novel that Marvel used to do in the 80s and I guess into the early 90s. But this is his collaboration with Frank Miller, Daredevil Love and War. When you see the Kingpin in this, he is just this hulking mass with this tiny head. And it would almost be funny if it wasn't so friggin' cool. So when you see it here, he's this hulking mass with just like this kind of tiny head, but just giant frame. Nobody was doing anything like this. Nobody did anything like this, and nobody still does anything like this. And it changed how everybody looked at the Kingpin. Daredevil Love and War by Frank Miller and SANKOWITZ. Now look, I don't claim to know a lot about art technique. I'm not an artist, as we've discussed, but I can still appreciate the sheer madness that Sienkiewicz illustrated with, painted with, penciled with, used bleach with, all of his weird techniques. And I got to admit, when I was younger, I didn't appreciate it. What I would have said as a kid, it was too weird, it was too abstract. But as you grow older and you start to appreciate these things, this man is in a league of his own. So now we get into one of his, I think, lesser known runs. He did a big run on Dazzler, and I showed you in a previous episode the Thriller cover a couple weeks ago. Well, we don't really need to go back into that one, but there is two that I do want to show you. There's number 32, that's Dazzler 32, and this features an Inhumans cover. And I don't think I've ever seen William draw the Inhumans before. And Dazzler's great on the front, but you see Lockjaw and you can see Black Bolt, and I don't know if that's Medusa or not. I guess it is. And then Quicksilver, who I didn't realize Quicksilver was in the Inhumans, but this is Dazzler number 32. Now here's one that doesn't get the notoriety it deserves. If it doesn't ring a bell to you, well, let me tell you why. So this is Dazzler number 16. Great red cover. That's Enchantress on the cover, and she's doing that thing to Dazzler and enchanting her. What's so cool about this? It is an homage to Strange Tales, the first appearance of the Living Tribunal. And I didn't realize that until very recently when I picked this up, and I'm like, why does this look so familiar? And I was flipping through my Strange Tales, and I'm like, oh shit, that's why. It's a homage to this great cover. And Living Tribunal is one of the coolest designed characters of all time. I had sought that book out because I'm trying to get a lot of the first appearances of the cosmic entities. It was mind-blowing. Like, it's such a sneaky little homage. So that's Dazzler number 16, a sneaky little pickup for y'all. And one of the biggest key issues is Moon Knight number 1. And Sienkiewicz was on the ground floor. He did the first ongoing title. He had done like a little bit of Moon Knight before that, and I'll show you that in a second. It's not my favorite cover, but I wanted to just kind of bring note to it because we know his run on Moon Knight is legendary. And it's legendary for just some of the most batshit crazy things done on a superhero book at that time. I could show you the whole run, but I'm going to do my favorite covers, and then I'm going to do the ones that I think get the most notoriety, the black covers. So we'll just start off with Moon Knight number 26. I've never read the full run of Moon Knight, so I can't tell you what the gist of this story was, but it's very in line with some of the early New Mutants work he did. It's very in line with some of the stuff that they were doing on the Legion show. That is Moon Knight number 26. All right, we're going to do the black covers in numerical order, starting with number 8. Ha ha ha. Wow. This cover is demonic. It is psychotic, and I absolutely love it. I'm in awe. The lettering, the white splotches of paint just thrown on there, the wolf in the background. We'll move on to issue number 21. You don't get exposed to this kind of art at a young age and really understand it. And if you do, that's amazing. That's probably inspiration for a lot of people that created art. And that became artists. But at 10 years old or something like that, I was a fan of Star Wars and cartoons and stuff. And then you see stuff like this and you're like, it's not for me. And now I wish more people did stuff like this. So this is issue number 21. Looks like he's stuck in a grave, maybe a Brother Voodoo thing. I'm not sure what's going on here. And the use of yellow in there is just striking, as well as obviously the red outline in the title. Then we move on to 23. I think this is one that's a little bit less heralded, but Just clearly another one of him just splattering paint on there. Our reward is half of Moon Knight and just this dark, gritty New York scene. And I grew up in New York. I vaguely remember the kind of grittiness of the end of the grittiness of the 70s bleeding into the 80s. Before it kind of started to become sterilized in the 90s. But this is just fascinating to me. 25, the double-sized issue. Pretty simplistic, and yet very effective. Looks like a door is open. There's a gnarly creature guy thing. What we all probably agree on is the most striking of the Moon Knight covers, and that is number 29 of The Wolf. Moon Knight's not even on this cover. It's about as simple as you can get design-wise by also being complicated at the same time. Like, how do you know that's going to work so well? And it does. The yellow eyes, the blood, his little crescent moon. It's terrifying. It's horror. Kind of reminds me of, the first thing that pops into my head if I go back to when I was a kid, Michael Jackson's Thriller when he turns into the wolf. That's the first thing that this imagery brings to me. And closing out the Moon Knights, we'll do this one first. This is a recent pickup from a friend of mine. This is Amazing Heroes from, I believe this is 1979, maybe 80. An early Sienkiewicz Moon Knight before it was super gritty. Amazing Heroes is a fanzine, and there's interviews and stuff like that, and they go into depth on characters and creators and artists. One of a few fanzines and magazines that I really want to acquire. So if anybody's got any of the other, either Amazing Heroes, and if he ever did a Comics Journal interview, I'd love to read that too. And finally closing out the Moon Knight, this is one that I picked up last year. It's such a cool cover of Moon Knight by him that is completely different from everything else he did. Marvel Premiere magazine, Moon Knight. Painted, it's got that like flare on it. The use of the moon and the light coming in through the cape. I don't think I've ever seen that done before by him that I can think of. Tough book to find. I know it's sought after by a lot of people. I remember showing this to a couple friends and they're like, man, never seen that. I think the first time I saw it was about a year and a half ago at Bronze Age Batcave. And so I made it a point to keep my eyes out for it, and I found it. And I think I paid like $10 for it. All the songs and my purposeful misspelling of his name to say SANKOWITZ is done out of love. It's one of those things that like most comic collectors and comic readers don't know how to spell his name. If anybody has any connection to Bill, please let him know that this is something that has been running since episode 1, and I will not stop until I get that man to do a cameo on this show. If we're putting the Moon Knight aside, these are going to be my 4 favorite that I own. These are in no particular order, all right? I can't pick a favorite, but I can pick my favorite Batman cover that he's ever done, and that is Batman 400, another book that's been highlighted countless times on this show. But shit, let's do it again. The back cover is just the image that you see on the front cover without all the text, and just nobody's done Batman like that before. Okay, I can say this is my favorite What If cover. What if number 47? What if Loki had the hammer of Thor? Brushes over and makes it a little bit, oh God, I don't know the terminology, but he blurs it, or he makes it, I have no words because all my words are just like, Sorry, you're going to have to hear me gush just for like another 5 minutes. I did read this about a year and a half ago, but I forgot if it was good or not. Sometimes you remember the story, sometimes you don't. Speaking of What If, the runner-up, What If number 45, what if the Hulk went berserk? It feels berserk, that cover. It feels like you're in there with Bruce Banner and he's gone absolutely batshit berserk. Nobody did the Hulk like this either. This was an early book in my childhood, the Return of the Jedi Marvel Master Special, because I was a Star Wars kid. Born in 79, saw Empire and Jedi. At least I saw Jedi in the theater that I remember. This was striking to me. This was not, the mainstream stuff. And then you see this, which, sure, it's Marvel and mainstream. I implore every Star Wars fan, every SANKOWITZ fan, and every comic fan to track this down. Not expensive. You can find it for $10 or less at pretty much any comic store that has good back issue stock. Lots of fans will be familiar with Sienkiewicz's work on the Return of the Jedi single issues, the 4-part miniseries that Marvel did. He doesn't do the interiors for this. I believe it's Al Williamson. Al Williamson does the back cover as well. Like I said, you could probably fill up 2 long boxes with Sienkiewicz stuff. He also did artwork for countless card series. He did a lot of the Marvel card stuff in the X-Men series. Maximum Carnage, the video game, he did all the artwork for that. Never-ending adoration for his work. He's one of the greats. A lot of people don't realize that his body of work has spanned, 40 years now. It's impressive because he's still going. I've never met the man. I would love to. I heard he's very nice. All of you watching, in the comments, throw down below your thoughts, your favorite works of his, anything I might have missed that I need, or stuff that flies under the radar. Like I said, I currently have a short box of stuff of his, and I just wanted to do this because I am such a fanboy of his that I forgot to sing the song throughout the whole video except the beginning. So here it is.
Bill Sienkiewicz, SANKOWITZ. Bill Sienkiewicz, SANKOWITZ.
Now that I'm lightheaded, and now that you've heard me sing my face off, this has been another episode of the West Coast Avengers. Don't forget to tune in on the Instagram every Wednesday for West Coast Wednesday. Hit the link below. Check out all my links. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you all. Please recommend this to your best friend. We'll see you next week on the Dumb Guy.